Okay, we've been continuing to work with floated divs. Let me go over to design view here. This is the same file we've been working with for the last little bit. And you see we have two floated divs. I have a sidebar running down the left-hand side. I have a content running down the right. Down here I have a footer, which of course has a clear float on it, or clears the floats. So we've been looking at how we can float divs next to each other to give ourselves columns. I'm going to look at something a little bit different this time. I'm going to modify my file real quick. I'm going to grab this content right here and copy and paste it down a few times just to make my page longer. Okay. So now, this is kind of how we would expect it to work. It took a second to refresh there. So because I have a longer column, as I scroll, both columns scroll up, my footer's down there at the bottom. That's how we would expect that to work. So what I want to look at is how we could lock something in place. I want to take my left-hand column over here where I have navigation, and I want to lock that in place so that as I scroll my content, it stays. The navigation stays over here on the left. And so the way we're going to do that is by creating a fixed position. So I'm going to get back out of live view here. And let's get back into split view so we can kind of see the code as we go. So the big difference, what we have to do is I have to come over here to my sidebar, because that's what I want to fix. I want that to hold still. So I'm going to select my sidebar, come over to my selectors over here. Okay, there's my sidebar selector. That's the one I want to edit. And I'm going to come down here into properties. There goes margin, padding. Here's position right here. I want to come to this and I want to select a fixed position. Okay? Let's go see what that does to us. Actually, let's go back to design view. It allows us to see more. And go to live. Now you notice that it's fixed in that spot. It's not moving as everything else scrolls. Now we have some other problems, but we do have that one fixed. So what I really want to point out is where we saw when we float divs that it takes it out of the document flow. Okay, we really had to keep that in mind, and that's why we had to clear the float at the end. When you fix a position, it really takes it out of the document flow to the degree now that the content div is actually sitting underneath it. It doesn't even see that it's there, and the content div is floating to the left right underneath it. So we need to go make some other modifications to our layout for this to really work out for us. So let's get back out of live view here. Okay, a couple things I need to do. The first thing, I'm going to go back to my sidebar. Because it's fixed, I'm really not using the float on it. So back over here working on sidebar. There's my float. And, oops, excuse me, there's my float. There's my position fixed. That's what I just said. Here's my float. I'm really not floating it anymore, so I'm going to delete this. So see right here, I can go to this trash can, and I can delete the float. Now, when I did that, you see that my content div is slid below because the float is what allows it to move up there. So if I go to live view, okay, the content div is still floating to the left and still underneath it, so it hasn't really helped us out much. So the other thing I have to fix is I have to go to my content div, and I need my content div to sit over on the right hand side. So right now, here's my content div. Look down here in properties and we see that it's floating to the left. So really what I need to do is tell it to float to the right. Okay, so now it's floating to the right, it's sitting over here. Now when we're not in live view, it's kind of conflicting with our sidebar div up here. That's why it's sitting down below. Okay, but we definitely need to go check the live view. So clicking on the live view, there we go. That's the position I wanted it in right now. So I have my sidebar div sitting over here. It's in a fixed position so that when I scroll it doesn't go anywhere. Over here I have my content div. It has its narrow width so that it leaves this space open over here so it doesn't conflict with that navigation, and it floats to the right so it's off on this side over here. So that's the position that I wanted it to go. Okay, so now when I scroll, my navigation stays there. Very quickly, let's go back over to the code view. Pretty straightforward what it does here. So let's see, my container, nope, not my container, my sidebar C has a position fixed, so that's what it looks like in code. Pretty straightforward. My content div, the only change we made was the float to the right. So that's how I can use a fixed position to fix something in place on the page.